Hi everyone, welcome to S Cube TV. I'm your host Rajni, and today I have with me a very special guest. Her name is Chelas Montanye, and she is a art director and also a volunteer coordinator at Wizard of Miracles. Well, welcome Chelas to S Cube TV and also to this amazing show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. Yes, very good.
And you also look good.
Thank you. It's cold
Yeah,
here. It's cold here in
yeah.
Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Also here in India too, it is very cold right now. Okay, so I just would like to know firstly, if you can please tell something about yourself to the, I mean, I already have told the audiences that you are a art director and also a volunteer coordinator, but I also would like to know from you, as in if you can talk about your journey and tell the audiences more about yourself.
Um, about I'm an artist. I graduated from the
Mm-hmm.
Art Institute of Atlanta. Um, I also have a degree in sociology. And about 15 years ago, I had some health problems. And so I was looking for something different to do. And my doctors would say, you should get a hobby and do something. And I'm an artist, so I'm always doing something. So
Yeah.
I started trying different things and using recycled materials to create the art. What I found intriguing was that it was attracting a lot of people who were also looking for something in their lives. Also people who were suffering from pain and illness, and they were also looking for some kind of activity. Now, a lot of these materials can be really expensive for
Yeah.
artists, so
Mm-hmm.
I have a great knack for networking and hooking up with people, and so we started creating this network where people started donating materials, resources that they weren't using.
Okay.
Um, and so it started in a 10 by 10 booth. We had like this little tiny space that we would do like little classes and stuff in. Then we grew. We got a bigger studio, and then we grew even bigger, and we got like this building that was 2,500 square feet, and we stayed there for like 2 or 3 years, and then we grew again, and now we're in two locations. And
Wow.
yeah, and the location I'm in right now is about 12,000 square feet. And so we have several activity rooms. Um, it's really nice space, but it's the people that made it grow. It's the community that made it grow. So people would come from, like, they would travel down from Philadelphia looking for resources for there's classrooms, because there wasn't a lot of funding for classroom materials, especially
Mm-hmm.
in more impoverished areas. So they would come and they would ask for like pencils and pens. So they would say, well, if the students don't show up to school and they don't have pencils, pens, erasers, paper to write on, then they're not getting much out of in the classroom. And there's very little resources in a lot of these areas. And
Mm-hmm.
so I started slowly creating, collecting resources specifically for those teachers. Well, as we grew into larger facilities, we started networking with a lot of businesses and a lot of individuals who started donating. And then we got schools who were throwing
Mm-hmm.
away resources to give us those resources so we could distribute them to other schools who didn't have the resources. So it's kind of difficult in the US because each community is a different, like, each school district is in a particular town. And then
Mm-hmm.
that town collects tax dollars from the property. And then that's what funds programs in the school. But if
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a lot of businesses or a lot of huge resource areas or like land development going on in those areas, then the areas that don't have those resources don't have funding for their schools. So
Okay.
then you could have, like, on this side could be a really impoverished school district, and then on the other side of the street is a school that has all of these resources, and then they have all the programs, music programs, art programs. But if you live on this side, you don't have anything. So the school over here won't
Mm-hmm.
share those resources with the school on this side because they came from the tax dollars from the people on this area. And so it makes it really complicated for people to for that school to say, I just want to, we don't need all this money, we don't need all these resources, we want to give them to this school. And they have a board of directors that will say, no, we can't give them anything because that was paid for by these taxpayers on this side.
Mm-hmm.
So then if those resources aren't used, they go in the trash.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, I do.
yeah. So what we did, we started reaching out and saying, well, don't throw it away, give it to us. We're a middleman. So your
Mm-hmm.
taxpayer can say, well, it went to a nonprofit, it went to a good cause. And then we can
Mm-hmm.
distribute it out to all the schools, to any program that we need to. So we get it out to libraries, we get it out to schools, we get it out to pre-K, we get it out to daycare centers, we get it to senior centers, we get it to all the nonprofits that need those resources. And we've created a pretty big organization here that's doing a lot of work all across the
Yeah,
PA. And yeah, it's
uh,
it's
that's really, really amazing.
yeah, it's a lot of hard work, but it's a lot of fun and it's really rewarding because
Mm-hmm.
when you've got a school or an organization that's trying to create a program and they don't have the resources, and then they come and visit us because they usually hear from word of mouth, so people will tell them,
Mm-hmm.
check out Art to Recycle. And so people will come to Art to Recycle and they are amazed. They are like, where did where did all this stuff come from? And and then they get all the materials they need, and then they go and they tell other teachers, and then other teachers come. So it's just growing by word of mouth. Yeah.
I mean, that's really amazing. That's really amazing. Okay, so I think this art of recycle actually came from you being an artist,
Yeah.
because yeah. So I actually would like to know. I mean, where exactly did this recycling idea generated in your mind, and where did you actually think of,
It,
doing something like this?
actually, I never imagined this. Um, it was just like listening to people and what people were asking for, and then trying to fill those needs instead of creating something that nobody might never need or want. And Jojo, sorry, that's my baby.
No problem.
Hang on a second.
No problem.
Here, that way he can see what we're doing. So he,
Yeah. Hi, it's so cute.
yeah, he's adorable.
Yeah,
If he got woke up, so he's a little grumpy.
no
But
problem.
yeah, and so I didn't actually think of it. It was like as I was doing my own thing, people were coming and asking, hey, can you help us here? Can you help us do this? Do you have somebody who might have the resources for this project? And then I would be like, oh yeah, a guy came in last week and he told me his company does like wood turning stuff and he has lots of wood scraps. So then then the person who would come in, and then the person who would come in would say, I'm looking for wood scrap turn products. And I'd be like, oh yeah, I met a guy last week and I have his business card right here. Here, meet up. So it kind of, worked like that. And then when I started to realize people were asking for a lot of these used resources because our materials are so expensive. They're very, very expensive. And when you want to do a project, a lot of people can't fit those hobbies into their budget. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
are really striving in this area to just make their rent and make their bills and just keep just keeping themselves, in food and
Mm-hmm.
everything. So even though it's not a really, really impoverished area, there are little, areas that are so impoverished that people couldn't imagine being able to do a craft that they might see on Pinterest because they wouldn't be able to afford it. You have a lot of seniors who are living in senior housing, and a lot of single moms, and a lot of families who have multiple children. And so we created activity rooms so people can come in, and we actually just put the materials out on the table, and then people can come in and craft. You want to take him?
That's what I was going to ask.
and and come in and craft for free. And so in order to fund it, we created a thrifty craft store. So when the donations come in, they come in mass amounts, and we sort through it all. And if we get stuff new in packages, a lot of times people write on the packages for teachers only. So we don't sell that stuff. We put it in a free area for teachers to take away. But then if we get other stuff where people will say, here, use this to help with your funding, and then we'll put that merchandise out for sale. And then that creates revenue and pays overhead. So we have about 9 paid staff in the 2 locations. We have about 25 between the paid staff and the non-paid staff. We have about 25 full and part-time people who help all the time. And then we have up to almost 300 volunteers that we oversee. So, and they're all different organizations that we work with that bring volunteers in. Some of them have disabilities. There's also these other organizations that take individuals who are injured at work, and their job doesn't have light duty work for them on the job. So they will hook them up with us. So there are people who are able-bodied, but they might have had an arm or a shoulder injury, or they might have had a foot injury at work. So when they come in, I have to find work within their restrictions. But it's just kind of like, it's a difficult task when you got to make a job for somebody you never met before.
But because you have such good intentions with your work and everything, so that is why it has blossomed in such a magnificent manner, and it's really blossoming every day. So that's really great.
And I'm trying to get more people to do this. So I created it, actually, an entire guide. And I put the guide on our website, but the guide explains like how to do it from beginning to end, like how to get your resources, how to get your funders, how to get everything to set it up. And what we did with our second location is a woman had come to us and said she wanted to put one in her town. So she volunteered with us for almost a year and a half. And in that year and a half, we taught her how to run it. We taught her how to run her how to use her volunteers properly, how to set up the organization. And then we went in and we negotiated. She found the building she wanted. We negotiated a lease for her. We rented the building. And then we took we have so much donations that come in that we literally stocked her whole store. It was a lot of fun. And that opened up in the fall and had to shut down for the pandemic. And unfortunately, she committed suicide. So, yeah, so that's been really hard on all of us here, because it was just, I think, just devastating to her. I think she thought she was losing everything because of the shutdown. And she couldn't see any future past that. And she was very scared. And we tried to tell her every day that we were doing everything we could to keep the organization running. And our organization is doing very good. But she
really sorry about I'm really sorry about her. But I also would like to know here that because you said that donations were in such huge numbers, because I think the great work that you're doing, and people are also supporting you for that great work, and that's really amazing.
They're supporting us because it really is a need, and it's not a need that's very well addressed. And so the people who need those resources and come in and find them here, they're the ones that are making it blossom, because then they go to their family members or their friends and they say, hey, if you're going to donate to this organization, because it's really doing what it needs to do. But I know, like, you had one question on here that asked like what our memorable moments were. I'm going to show you. What when people think of recycled things and things that people are throwing away that you need for science,
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I actually was about to ask you if you can show us something.
I will show you.
Okay, sure.
Well, this is teacher supplies that I did not know was in such demand, and I
Okay.
have given away 1,000 dead frogs.
Oh my God. And people, I mean, people really make a demand out of, I mean, that's
It's a dissection
bizarre, but
frog. It's a. Do you know how expensive these are? I didn't even wear. I was like, oh my god, I have all these dead frogs, and I thought, what
okay.
am I? Who's gonna want them? So,
I mean,
so I put them on Facebook, and it across Facebook. And during the pandemic, I gave away like 1,000 dissection frogs. And with all of the materials to dissect the frogs, and people, the emails were flooding in. It just was not stopping. And I thought, at first, I thought, I'm never going to get rid of these dead frogs. And then I thought, I'm never going to have enough dead frogs.
I mean, right now I'm thinking, why would anyone need a dead frog? I mean, right now I'm just thinking, why would anyone need that?
When you think about it, like the science teachers just came out of the woodwork because they were like, it's so hard because they took all their funding and put it towards online programs for their students at the end of the
Mhm.
year when the pandemic first hit. And they said, we don't have projects for our kids. Out the pounds of the dissection frogs. They said, I need 50 of them. And I'm like, what do you
Oh my
need
God.
50 dead frogs for? And they said, well, we're going to do a Zoom meeting and we're going to give each child a frog and a kit to take home. And and then they'll take these frogs and then we'll do the dissection and teach the children how what all the parts are inside the frog. And it was amazing the orders I got. So then I just had we had to like take all these frogs because they're like in bags like this. So the whole building stunk of the of the safe preserve that they're preserved in. So we could take them out and put them in individual sandwich bags so we can set up kits for children who are home from school and wanted to do the dissection but didn't get a chance to at school. So that's parents were showing up and our
I mean,
back door. Yes,
I mean, I think only coronavirus can do this to us,
yes.
and nothing else.
I said, leave it to a pandemic to send me dead frogs.
Yeah.
Then I realized how valuable dead frogs were. I mean, you just don't know.
Exactly. I think there is no imagination for anything that, I mean, you
Yes.
can get a demand of.
And
Yeah.
that's what I realized. I'm like, well, I can do something with these dead frogs. And I just didn't imagine that it would be like the hit of the universe.
True that.
And then and then these came in a couple of weeks
Okay.
ago. And they're like a Play-Doh kitchen set. So you
Uh-huh.
can do like it comes with like a rolling pin and a cutter. So the new rules for the pandemics is that these pre-K students all have to have their own activity kits during playtime. And
Mm-hmm.
so somebody came with a whole trash bag, a huge giant trash bag. And
Okay.
she asked me if I wanted them. And I said, yeah, I'll take them all. And she said, what are you going to do with these? And I said, well, I'm going to give them away because a lot of the preschools have to have their own kit. So I said, they're going to
Mm-hmm.
really want these. So I posted them and people would call in and they'd say, I need 600 kits for my kids. So, so I asked the lady, I said, how many do you have of them? I thought, because she said, do you want them? And I said, yeah, I'll take them all. And she said, no. And I said, yeah, I'll take them all. Is that a problem? She says, well, there's 16,000 kits. And I said, well, that's okay. I'll get rid of them. I know I can. She didn't believe me. I've given away 16,000 kits. In
My goodness.
like 3 weeks, we gave away 16,000 kits.
Okay.
So every child in probably Lancaster County and the surrounding counties have these play kits at home.
I mean, the memorable moments that you're sharing are, but also amazing at the same time.
I I've
So
I've learned to never question anything that comes in the door.
yeah, that that is something to learn from the this incident. Okay, so okay, so now I would also like to ask you that during this COVID situation, this is a pandemic, how actually have your your work suffered or also grown at the same time?
Is it? Cause I didn't understand that.
I mean, during this pandemic, I mean, earlier you said that it was working quite good. But, when the pandemic happened and when the lockdown and everything happened, so did it suffer, firstly? And if it did, then how? And also, and if it grew, so how?
Our organization,
Yeah.
um, we're shut down. We're still shut down. We've been
Okay.
shut down since March.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Mainly because most of our staff and most of our volunteers all have disabilities. They have physical illnesses that could put them at high risk. So we received we we were okay. So before the pandemic hit, we had paid off all of our bills and all of our credit was all clear. So we
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of credit and a lot of money that we had already because we wanted to purchase a property. We wanted
Okay.
another facility. So we had a good amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
So um we when we were told, it was really scary because we were doing very good financially. Everything was doing very, very well. And
Mm-hmm.
then it was like we were told we couldn't even go in our building. Like if we even went in our building, we would lose our status, our organization status. We would lose our nonprofit. We would lose they would just come in and shut us down and take everything.
Oh.
So that was really frightening to just be told. And so because we thought, well, maybe like me and my husband could just come in and work. And they said, if anyone's even in your building, we will just strip you of everything. And so that was really very depressing because this is what I've been doing for the last almost 15 years. And I didn't want to stop, and plus our staff is almost like family. And so we kind of needed each other and we
Yeah.
weren't allowed to meet with each other. And so it was very emotionally tolling. But then so we never stopped paying any of our employees. They just went home and they every 2 weeks and all of our bills were paid. And it wasn't until we started to run a little low on money, and then they gave us like a PPP grant, and they gave us an EIDL grant, and then they gave us EIDL funding, and then they gave us Air CARES Act grant. And so we got a lot of this money, and we still have a lot of it, but we don't know when it's going to be over. So we're being very cautious. So
Mm-hmm.
and there's still more grants that are coming up that we're applying for as well that we should probably get. But our store is not like we've been doing like a few appointments, but it's not even a fraction of what our store was bringing in and paying us. So when this all ends, we'll probably have a lot of debt we'll have to pay off, but we'll be okay. So
And I'm sure you will.
yeah, it's a very good organization, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
good people and a lot of good supporters. So I know it'll yeah, we'll breeze through it. Unfortunately, we're watching a lot of organizations like ours close, and that's something we're trying to prevent. And
Mm-hmm.
by helping these, we're just taking like even the merchandise right off our store floor. It's just going out to any organization that needs it. Like we're just trying to keep all of these programs open, doing our part. And then we also like when we get emails that say, hey, this grant is available, we send them off to other organizations that we know of that are in need of the grants as well. And so even ones that we can't get, maybe they can get. So we just keep this network going, hoping to keep all these other programs going through this. So because there's if these programs shut down, it's going to be very hard for the community to get them back afterwards.
I mean, I believe your organization is meant to rise because, it is very creative and and very helpful at the same time.
Hmm.
And yeah, and so I think it is going to do well in
So
future.
yeah, so I'm pretty positive. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not worried. I'm just worried for everybody else. I'm worried for a lot of the other programs that we work directly with, and
Hmm.
a lot of the for-profit businesses that have gone under, and we're watching the schools fluctuate. They open and they close. They open. This is just a very scary time for everybody.
Yeah, it is. It is. Also,
Yeah.
if after this, if I actually would like to ask about your mission, what exactly is your mission with this organization? What would you like to say?
Okay, so when we created our mission,
Hmm.
we said we were teaching people how to create art with recycled materials, and we thought that was what we were doing. And then after we started and to connect with all the community and all the programs and stuff, we realized that what we were doing was healing and growing community. So our mission became healing and growing community using the recycled resources around us. So when other people think recycled, a lot of people think we're like a recycling place. So they drop off like plastic bottles and all other kind of stuff.
Okay.
But when we say recycling, we mean like dead frogs. things
Okay.
things that are perfectly good, like these play sets that are perfectly good, are going in the trash, and there's no reason for them to go in the trash.
Yeah.
And there's not enough businesses doing what we're doing. So we're trying to coax these businesses to say, don't throw it away. Give it to this nonprofit, and we'll get it out to the organizations that need it. But the problem is that a lot of the companies that are for profit, they're afraid that if they give something away, then people aren't going to buy their merchandise. If somebody finds out that, they were giving away this and that, then they're going to go and ask for more things for free. So the for-profit businesses don't want to give anything away. But if we have a middleman like us, they can give it to us. We don't have to tell anyone where it came from, and then we can disperse it. And it's coming from our organization, and we have rules set into place to who can receive what, because we want to see that it's going to make a community impact. So
Hmm.
we want to make certain that they are teachers, or they are working with an organization, or they are doing something productive for the community, whether it's events or something that's going to get into the hands of people like children, seniors, people with special needs, or people who actually need those resources for learning. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And you also mentioned that people actually come with the plastic bottles and they ask you to recycle them. So if when things like these happen, so what? I mean, what's your
Um,
reaction? Or what do you actually tell them?
I, I recycle them, but I don't tell them. I just take them.
Okay. Okay.
Because if you tell somebody no, then they become disenfranchised. And
Yeah.
yeah, even if it's something that I'm like, I'm not certain. Sometimes it's really funny. I'll say yes and I'll take it, and it will be sitting in the stock room. And then somebody will walk in the door and they'll say, "Oh, by the way, do you have these kind of containers?" And I'm like, "Yeah, actually, I do. Here, you can have them." So
I
it
mean, if
works.
one can have a need for a dead frog, I'm sure they can have need for plastic bottles too.
I get some interesting requests sometimes.
Okay.
It
So
leaves
also
me
my
it leaves me wide
yeah.
open. Yeah.
Okay. So one more question to you. So also, if I talk about the causes that you work for, so what exactly are the causes? I mean, you have mentioned quite a few, and you've mentioned, but I would like to know. Yeah.
Education.
Okay.
Education is one of the biggest causes, like getting those resources into the hands of teachers and nonprofit organizations in order to keep those programs running. That's one of our biggest causes. The other one is we actually, like I said, most of our volunteers and employees are individuals with disabilities. So we hire on these people, or we accept them as volunteers, and then we build them up. We build up their self-esteem. We give them positions that um normally like a for-profit business wouldn't give someone.
Okay.
So we had a young lady who came, and they told me she could never learn to do math, so I put her on the register.
Okay.
and I taught her math, and she's been working with us for 4 years now.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
we worked every day with her on her math skills, and we taught her how to measure. We taught her how to weigh. We taught her how to put it into the register, and no one believed that she could do it. So one of her teachers one time put up a pretend register and had her prove to them that she could run the register, and she did it. And then they came back
Wow.
and they said, "How did you do this?" And I said, "She believed she could, so I taught her, and she could." It took a lot of effort on her part. She really wanted it. She really wanted to learn. But unfortunately, the program, those kind of programs that they put those children in, don't evaluate them. They give the same test to everyone. So it wasn't impossible for her to learn. She just had a different way of learning. Do you understand? Like
Yeah.
yep. And so all you had to do is kind of sit and talk to her and figure out what that way of learning was. Like what was stopping
Hmm.
her from learning math. And it was simply that she had to do it. She had to do it herself. It had to be practical math that she was using constantly. And now she runs the register like a professional. So I feel really proud because she has a lot of things to learn. But I think someday, she might even. She's been talking about going to college and all these things. And they told me she would never live on her own, and she now has her own apartment.
Wow. That's really an
Yeah. So
inspiring story.
she's only one of our success stories, but we have many like that.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Also, we have one guest on the line. Is there a question that you would like to ask Miss Chalice?
Hello, I'm actually Sahiti, and I had a quick question. Actually, I'm really interested in your organization. I think honestly, what you're doing is very, very interesting. And as someone who comes from Detroit, and I've seen a lot of children who don't have the ability to have the resources to learn, I think that what you're doing is very amazing. So I was just wondering, how do you reach out to are you able to like order these things or the packages where students can learn from art,
Um,
your recycled art?
so, what, because we're localized here in Pennsylvania, over the next decade, we have hopes of spreading across the U.S. And what we're looking for is people who would be in your area who actually want to start one of these up. And we can start if somebody approaches us and asks us to help start, and they can put a team together, we can actually start an organization like this in their area. I know that's not exactly what you're asking me for, but we we don't have the full budget to be able to ship stuff out to other areas. Our hope is to eventually create these organizations in every area that people can actually travel to.
No, yeah, thank you very much. That was very helpful. And I really
Like
hope that your organization does well because it's a very good cause.
it is doing well, and I'm very hopeful that there will be teams of people who will eventually reach out to us, and we'll be we're looking at an area in Philly for our next location, but then we want to start heading outside of Pennsylvania.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And I mean, if everyone, whoever will be listening to your organization and the story and whatever the work that you're doing, I think everyone must be positive of it. And I think, and you two are. So I don't think so that it's going anywhere. It's going to be there and for long and long.
Oh yes, yeah. We have a wonderful team. Oh, the people we meet and the people we encounter, it just makes you every day makes you want to do more, and the whole
Yeah.
team feels that way. Yeah, it's great. We have like this horizontal business model where
Hmm.
you were asking like who the key people in one of the
Hmm.
questions is.
Yeah, so yeah, I actually was my next question was to you was if you can talk about the team size that you have. So
Okay,
yeah,
so
now that you mentioned.
and like I said before, we had 25 staff members between paid
Hmm.
and unpaid volunteers. And then about 200 volunteers that come in through different organizations and like schools. We have like the Hershey School will send a team of children up in the summer for a couple of weeks, and then we have intermediate units that send in kids, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But the way we work, it's a horizontal model, so we don't have anyone that's above anyone else. Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
we work as
No
a,
hierarchy.
yeah,
No hierarchy.
there's no hierarchy. So we have people who have special needs who maybe at the age level, like they're one gentleman's like in his 50s, but he's like 12. But his input is very important because he does very important jobs. He helps people, you know, he helps with a lot of different things with sorting and distributing the resources out to the different people who are cleaning his stuff and sorting it and bagging it and everything else. And he helps organize a lot of that stuff. So when he comes back and he tells me something's not working properly, or that, you know, is there a different way we can do something, or he might even have an idea, we listen to him. Because that's important to us, that every person who's involved in any process of what we're doing, their say is important as the people who are leading it, because they're doing it firsthand. So if they're having a problem and they're saying it's a problem, then we have to listen to that, because if their job doesn't work, then the whole thing kind of falls apart. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, also, you know, in the art field, I think when you're an artist, so I don't think that art discriminates anyone, because, you know, art is all about creativity and ideas and all that, and it
Yep.
can come up from anyone and at any time.
Yep. Yeah. And I find like a lot of artists are a lot more open-minded, because you have to, especially like I went in for graphic design and commercial art and advertising. So when you're doing advertising, you really need to know people. You have to understand your market, and you can't discriminate, because you're going to lose customers if you discriminate. So it's like when you're doing stuff, you always have to think about that. How is every single person? You have to empathize with every single person, every kind of a spot in the world, like in whatever position they're in order to understand how to reach a person when you're advertising. And I think that's why I do my job really good doing this, because it's you have to look at everybody when they walk in the door as being the same, you know.
Also, I mean, that's great. And also, I know, again, I would like to ask you one more question, that if someone wants to join your organization, so how can they do that?
They can do it online. We have a volunteer forums. So if they're local and they want to come in and volunteer, they can just download the volunteer forms and fill them out. And then because of Pennsylvania state law, we have to get child line clearances and background clearances on everybody. But there's a lot of tasks that people can do that's not in the facility. So there's things that when we open back up, before we close, we have these activities rooms that would be open and free to the public. So one of them has a pirate ship puppet stage in it. So one of the volunteer opportunities was to make all these little finger puppet bodies for the kids to decorate. And so we give somebody a sewing machine and they could go home and make all the finger puppet bodies for us. So there's activities like that people can do. All they have to do is call us or contact us, and we'd be able to find something for them to do.
Okay, and also
a lot of work that needs to be done.
I mean, yeah, that's true, because, you know, there is no imagination to this work, because, you know, you cannot imagine that it is going to be this or it is going to be So
and one of the things that, like, right now, especially with the pandemic, we have actually people checking on other people for us. So we have some people that live like half an hour, an hour away, who are elderly or have disabilities that are mild, that live on their own, that don't have family. And so we always keep tabs on these people to make certain they're okay, that they have food, that they have, you know, it's not quite in our mission to do that, but we end up doing that because if they come to us and they tell us this, then we try to hook them up with 211, which is a number here you can call in Pennsylvania. that can get people food and other resources. So that's what we've been doing through the shutdown, is sending other people who are by themselves to check on other people who are by themselves to make certain that they're okay. So yeah, it's about community, unfortunately.
Also,
Community involves more than just art.
yeah, that is true. And also, because of this pandemic and this lockdown, can also people from all across the world join this organization and can help or be, I mean, volunteer in any form?
I am creating an app, which I'm
Okay.
hoping to have out by the end of this year. And once
Okay.
the app goes live, then we will start adding on activities and other things that people can actually do to,
Wow.
yeah. So we have a lot of ideas what we want to put into this app. It will be kind of like a social network app, but I'm I'm not 100% how certain how it's going to work, but hoping that when it all comes together, it will be able to create those volunteer jobs for people. They can log in and they can find out what needs to be done in their area, and then we can take all our contact networks and put them in there, of all these programs that are available for people that we actually use. The ones that we provide materials for, a lot of people don't even know some of these programs exist. So we're hoping to kind of connect the dots. And this pandemic's giving us a little bit more free time than we normally have to do stuff like this. Otherwise, I would not have the time. So I've been working on this app for a couple of weeks. I'm hoping I'll have it out very soon.
Okay. Okay. And I'm wishing you all the luck for it. And, because I think we need more people to join your organization and, do this amazing work that you're doing. And
Yes.
also, I would like to ask you that, do you have a link which we can mention in the video's description box so that, if anyone can visit that particular website and can fill up the
Yeah.
form to join?
It's at www.artofrecycle.org.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
So we are
that's
going
our
to mention it.
yeah.
Perfect.
And then
Perfect.
when I have the app finished, I will put the app on the website.
Okay. All right. I mean, as soon as it is done, we are also going to mention it in the description box.
Thank you.
You're
That was
welcome.
wonderful talking to you guys.
I mean, as likewise, because you're doing an amazing work. Also, because you have already shared a memorable moment and a memorable incident with us, I would also like to ask you: is there any touching incident that you would like to share with the audiences and us?
Well, there's a lot of touching incidents. I'm trying to remember one that's there's this particular one that sticks really. Okay, so my husband and I, when we first met, we made this wishing tree. So in this wishing tree, we wanted it to be a thing that the community could participate in. So we put it in a lot of different art galleries. So it kind of traveled from gallery to gallery. And it's I think I'm not certain if there's a picture of it on our website, but it's my husband built it out of scrap wood, and then he put bark on it so it looked like a real tree. And then he had it so the fronts could come off. And it has all these windows so you can look inside it. And there's fairy homes inside it. Okay. And on the outside is a mailbox. So you can make a wish and put it into the fairy tree. And at the very bottom is a little gnome door. And you open it up. And we always tell the kids that there's a troll that lives in there. But when you open it up, there's all the wishing paper and the magic markers. So we always say, make a wish in the magic wishing tray, and that your wishes will always. I can't remember what the phrase was, but so the children come in, and one of their favorite activities is to make a wish in the wishing tray. And there's a little stump that they can sit on right next to it. So one day, there was this little girl, about 3 or 4 years old, and she came in, and her whole family came in, and they were crafting in the craft castle, and they were creating all kinds of art, and they kept saying to the little girl, "Come over and make some art with us." And the little girl said no, and she and every time I passed in the hallway, she was sitting right near next to the troll door at the bottom of the wishing tree on her stump, and she just sat there for an hour or more, and the whole family was crafting. And so finally the family finished up and they said they were going to go. And the little girl started to cry and cry and cry. And we were all trying to console this little girl. And and so we were trying to find out why she was crying. And she said, "Well, I didn't get to craft." And we said, "Well, you know, you were just sitting on the stump. We everybody asked you to come and craft and you didn't want to." And she said, "Well, I was waiting for my wish to come true." So so he said, "Well, it doesn't work that way." She said, "Well, I put my wish in the mailbox and I was expecting it to come out the door at the bottom." And so we asked her what she wished for. She wished for a real live pony.
Okay. Okay. That's cute. That's cute.
So she wasted her whole time sitting on the stump waiting for a pony to come out of the wishing tree. But
Okay.
it's like
Yeah.
it's that the whole building is very artsy, and the activity room, the one activity room is called the undersea activity room. So it's literally a craft castle. It's a sand castle that you craft inside, and the puppet show theater is a pirate ship. And then there's the tree with the fairies in it, and it's very fun for the children. Very, very, very fun. But that incident just is always just stuck in my head. That poor child.
I mean, that is touching. That is touching. That is a touching incident. Yeah.
Yes, it was very memorable for me.
Yeah. Okay, so now that you have mentioned kids, so now I would like to know, ask for students, because many students actually look for volunteer hours. So
Yes.
what are those? Yeah.
Okay, so volunteer hours is any child over the age of 12 can volunteer. We prefer that they come with their parents if they're as young as 12. But we've had a lot of very mature 12-year-olds come in and volunteer and help. And they come in and they help price things and bag things and clean things. And we even let them run the register. Some people think that we're on odd for doing that because it's money, and I always say, well, it's just money. I mean, really, it's paper. It's like,
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think people the same way I do, but these children need to actually learn hands-on. They can't just learn all the time from a book. If they're not actually doing activities that are really real life activities, they'll never learn those until they get older. And it's much better to teach them when they're younger. So it's there's a lot of things that we have the children do that's within their abilities. And like I said, if the parents come in with them, it's a much better experience, because then the parents can see what their children like. I can see, for as many years as I've been doing this, watching children craft and interact with other people, I can actually define a child's where they're lacking in what they need to learn. And so when I'm working with children, I try to get them to do activities or different skills that they wouldn't normally do, which helps them to develop more. But it's kind of interesting when you're working with the public. You get a better viewpoint of what is like what a family might be doing wrong. I mean, so like we call what we do social art therapy, because we don't tell people they're doing something wrong, because if you tell somebody they're doing something wrong, they can be very defiant.
Yeah.
But if you kind of give nudges to people and say, hey, did you ever try doing this with your child? Did you ever try using these words instead of these words? And just like little subtle things like that, it kind of helped the whole community to grow.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay. That's great. That's great.
yeah.
Okay. So now now a very important question to you. So how do you guys raise funds? I mean,
Through our craft
yeah,
store. Yep,
yeah.
mostly
Okay,
through our craft store. We also
okay.
do grant writing, so we get some grants. We participate in what they call the the extraordinary give here in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and mostly from our store. Our stores bring in a lot of the funding. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
And that's kind
All
of what's
right.
hurting us because of the pandemic, because they shut down most of the stores,
Mm-hmm.
and our staff is very scared. So it's kind of trying to be diplomatic, um, trying to open up parts of the store without upsetting the staff. It's kind of like I feel like a diplomat.
Not at all. I mean, we get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so because now you have already mentioned that there is no hierarchy and you consider everyone the same. But even then, I would like to ask, are there any key persons in your organization? If yes, so who?
Um, my husband and myself would probably, because we were the ones who invented it, would be the key top figures. And then we have another board member named Lisa Bacani, and she has been working with us from day one, from almost the very beginning.
Hmm.
That's when I met her. She's
Okay.
been part of this ever since. Um, and then we have all of our committee members. So each of our committees have they're made up of the staff and volunteers who want to have a lot of input into how the programs grow. And so that we create committee members so that we can go back and forth among each other, passing ideas or changes or all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'd probably be like figure.
Okay, okay. And you have started it, you have actually created this idea, and it is going to be, I mean, back on track in no time, and it's surely going to be a huge hit.
Yes, yes, it already is. It's like, yes,
Yeah.
it like even though there's a pandemic going on, we haven't slowed down at all. It's yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, and I wish you all the best for it. And thank you so much for coming to S Cube TV and speaking with us. It was an amazing episode. And before I mean, before I end the show and before I ask for the last message, I would like to again ask the guest who has joined us. Is there a question that you would like to ask? Okay, I think not. So, is there a message? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is it?
Hello.
What challenge do you want to bring to their listeners?
I'm sorry, I was not able to. Yeah, hello. Okay, I think I'm not able to hear. So, any last message to the audiences for watching you?
Um, my husband says I should put out a challenge
Okay.
and challenge people to reach out to programs local to them to see how they can get resources to which programs need resources, and find people who are interested in starting these
Okay.
up another organizations like this in their area. And people can reach out to us through email or phone, and we would be willing to share our knowledge to get people started.
Okay, that's great. Okay, thank you so much for coming to SCube TV again and for speaking with us. It was an amazing episode. And before ending the session, happy Thanksgiving
Oh,
and
yes.
enjoy your day.
You too. Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. All right, guys, that's it from S Cube TV. Keep on watching.